Hi, my name is Padma Dharmata, and today we are going to practice a Yin Yoga class based around the hips and the low spine, but we'll also get a full body opening during this practice as well. And I always like to remind everybody to listen to your own body. So regardless of what I'm doing in this class or what I'm suggesting to do, your body is ultimately going to lead you exactly where you can be in a posture. Just go wherever you can go in a posture and don't worry about the rest. This class isn't about looking a certain way or doing a certain thing, but about finding what feels good to your body, what gives your body the healing that it needs. This particular video, as all of Bear Yogi's yoga videos, is always adaptable to who you are, where you're at. Everything is modifiable. You can also look into our posture tutorial videos to find out a little bit more about each specific posture. We'll be adding more posture videos as time goes on. But ultimately, you don't have to know anything about yoga. Yoga meets you exactly where you're at, regardless of any ability or inability or even disability that we have. Yoga is about who you are in this exact moment, and if you can breathe, then you can do yoga. So if you're ready, roll out a mat or just practice on your living room floor, whatever you have available to you. If you have blocks or straps, you can use those. You can also use a bolster or a cushion or whatever you can use as a prop. We don't have to have special yoga gear in order to practice physical postures. But if you're ready, let's begin. Let's begin in a seated position. You can sit in a cross-legged lotus position if you're able, or if this is a little tight on the knees or hips, you can always just leave the legs extended. You can cross the legs as wide as you need to or as narrow as is comfortable. If your knees are up here, then focus on a more loose cross-leg position, or again, just straightening your legs out. You can also sit on a block to raise the hips above the level of the knees. So this is important in a seated position, is keeping the hips up higher. You can also sit on a bolster or a cushion of some sort. So let's get started. Let's take a few deep breaths in through the nose. Slow, deep breath filling up the lungs. Hold that breath in for just a second. And then as you're ready to exhale, use the abdomen to push the air out through the throat. One more time in through the nose. Hold it. Slow, deep exhale when you're ready. In through the nose. We also have a video on pranayama breathing if you're not familiar. Hold the breath. Exhale. Now we're going to add arm movements for 3 breaths. Let's inhale the arms up. Palms press, reach up, hold the breath. Then as we exhale, hands come to heart center. So 2 more breaths just like this. So as we inhale, we're bringing in fresh life, fresh energy. Exhaling, we're letting go of the old, everything that we do not need. In through the nose. All right, on our next inhale, we're gonna start at heart center in. Through the nose, fill up the lungs, arms up. And as we exhale, turn the palms outwards. To exhale. One more time, in through the nose. Now we're taking everything we don't need, releasing it into the universe to be recycled. Just a little bit of energy work before we get started. Now let's warm up the spine. As we inhale, reach the arms up. As we exhale, we're going to twist to the right side of the body. So bring the right hand behind us, left hand to the knee. Twist the spine. So lift with the heart as we twist. If your body doesn't twist very far, that's okay. Just move in that general direction. It does not matter how any single one of these postures looks. What matters is how it feels. Just taking a couple of deep breaths here. This isn't necessarily a Yin Yoga posture. This is just loosening up the spine a little bit before we get started. You can create some movement here, lifting with the heart or rounding the spine, just whatever feels good to you. And we're gonna inhale back to center. On your next inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, twist to the left. So right hand to the left knee, left hand behind us. A couple of breaths here. Again, creating some movement through the spine here. There's a misconception about Yin Yoga if you've ever even practiced it. But Yin Yoga is not about being completely still. We can add plenty of movement into Yin Yoga. We do eventually want to find some stillness in a Yin Yoga posture, but ultimately movement is always welcomed, especially micro adjustments. Let's inhale back up. Now, side stretch. We're gonna bring the right hand down to the mat and reach the left arm up and over. So we should feel this from the hips all the way up that side body. So just reach the left arm up and over. You want to keep both hips on the mat as much as you can, so don't lift that hip up. Keep the hips on the floor. If you have the ability, you can lower down onto that right forearm. Deep breaths here. You can either round the left shoulder towards the mat, or you can open up that left shoulder towards the sky. Breathing those breaths. Maybe relax the neck a little bit. Again, maybe a little bit of movement here feels good to you. And let's inhale back up. On your exhale, other side, left hand to the mat, reach that right arm up and over. You can open up to the sky. You can round down towards the mat. You can even come down onto that left elbow if that works for your body. Again, we should feel this from that right hip all the way up that side body, maybe up the side of the arm, depending on your body. Deep breaths. And let's inhale all the way back up. Now we're going to move into our caterpillar pose. So we're going to turn to face the front of our mat if you're not already. Legs extended out in front of us. So essentially this is just a forward fold. So we're going to begin by straightening the legs just the best that you can. And we're going to inhale, deep breath, arms up, reach towards the ceiling. As you exhale, lead with the heart as we fold forward across both legs. Now, if your hamstrings are super tight, maybe this posture is better for you if you keep the knees bent. If that's the case, you're gonna look just like this, and this is perfect. Or, again, we can use that block to get the hips above the knees. This makes the posture a little bit easier to use gravity. So our goal here is not to use the muscles of the body. It's okay if it takes a minute to get into the posture. Our goal is to get into the posture. Maybe you pull yourself into the posture, but then I want you to just let go of the muscles. It might be uncomfortable. We're gonna stay here for just a few moments. Few deep breaths. You can always start by pulling yourself in, getting that good, deep muscular stretch here. You can also place a cushion beneath the knees if you like, or blocks. If you can't touch your toes, that's okay. The goal for you in that case is just to round the spine and let go. Maybe you stack the arms to rest the head. Find where you're going and let go. You can also use a block to rest the forehead. And we're going to breathe a few deep breaths. Now, once we've been in this posture for a moment, maybe try to work yourself a little bit deeper. Maybe even pull yourself in a little deeper, but then find where we're holding on to that effort, to the muscular engagement, and let go of that tension, let go of that effort, and breathe. The goal of Yin Yoga is not to work on the muscles of the body. This is why it's not even really accurate to call this class a deep stretch, because we're not stretching the muscles. We're putting pressure on the fascia of the body. So when we move into a posture and let go of muscular engagement, what we feel pulling is actually on the fascia of the body, our connective tissue. We're even putting some pressure on the bones and the joints of the body. Now this is a good thing. This is putting a good stress on our bones. This is how we strengthen our bones, our joints, our tissues. Often our muscles are limited by the ability of the fascia. We work so much on our muscles, but if our fascia or our tissues are tighter than the muscles, then our physical ability is limited by those connective tissues, especially if we have scar tissue or injuries. So maybe take a moment to move a little bit deeper, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe straighten the legs a little bit more, maybe fold forward a little deeper. Maybe pull in a little bit more. Maybe clear the mind a little bit more. Whatever discomfort arises here, try to sit with that. Work through that. Let go of that. And if a posture is a little too intense, you can always back out of it a little bit. Keep on breathing those deep breaths. Alright, so we're going to gently bend the knees just a tiny bit. Use the hands to walk the torso back up, coming out of a Yin Yoga posture that we hold for a while. Sometimes it's a little intense. So in order to rebound this posture, we're going to bring our hands behind us. We're going to bend the knees, maybe wiggle the knees a little bit, windshield wiper them, lift the heart up to reverse that rounding of the spine. Whatever you need to do to bring some blood flow back into the body. If you like, you can push into an upward plank. Whatever you need. Now we're going to move into a butterfly pose. So if you're familiar, we're just going to bring the feet together, knees outwards. If you need to, you can keep those feet a little further out. This all is dependent on your body. There's no right or wrong way to practice any of these postures. Again, you can sit on a block to get those hips up high. Always experiment with these postures. Find what works for you. We're just going to exhale, fold forward, just the best that you can. Now, if your body does not work like that, that's okay. This is a little tense on the hips because of the weight of the knees. You can put blocks under both legs and then fold forward. You can also use a block under the forehead so that we're not folding forward so far. You can use a bolster or a pillow here, just whatever you have available to you. So we're going to feel this primarily in our lower back, but also in our hips. You can also feel this in the groin. So find where you're going. Again, you can start with your feet further out, and as we stay in this posture, we'll be here for a few moments. You can always work on this posture, working the feet closer to the body. Now you can stay right here, or if you'd like to add some arm movement to work on the upper back, we're going to add eagle arms. So take the right hand under the left, bend the elbows, palms come together, or if your body doesn't work like that, reach for opposite shoulders. That's perfect too. So the goal is to pull the back side of those shoulders open, okay? Inhale, lift, and then as we exhale, we're just gonna fold forward. If you can, bring the elbows in front of the feet, forehead down. But you can also just bring the elbows. To the belly, on top of the feet, just whatever works for you. Let's take a few breaths here. So allow your body to guide you breath by breath. You do want to find at least a moment of stillness, of just being here. But always feel free to adjust as you need to. Micro adjustments are perfectly fine. Breathing those deep breaths. This posture is really good for the internal and external hip. The series of postures is exceptionally good if you have any type of hip issue, especially muscularly, or lower back issue. I actually developed this series because of my own hip issues. All right, so we're going to switch sides with the arms. Inhale up. Now you can take this opportunity if you like to move the feet a little closer to the groin, or it's a little much right now, you can move them further out. Inhale the arms up, switching sides only if you're working on the arm movements as well. Elbow or left arm under the right. You can reach for the shoulders, or you can bring the palms together, elbows down, inhale up. And as you exhale, it's just fold forward one more time. So the elbows can be above the feet, or they can be on top of the feet. This is all determined by your own body, how it feels to you. A little discomfort is always okay. It's always okay. This is a part of life. This is how we challenge ourselves. This is how we grow, is by being challenged, by pushing through discomfort. But we never want to put ourselves in pain. So if you're feeling any pain, just back out of whatever that is. Always giving ourselves grace, especially if our body isn't quite moving the way that we want it to. It's okay. All of our bodies are different. All of our muscular structure and even fascia, our bone structures are different. So just give yourself grace, give your body grace for where it's at. Sometimes we have injuries to work through. We hold on to our life through our muscles, our bones, our tissues. Sometimes our life takes time to work through. Let's take a few more deep breaths. Now as you're ready, we're going to inhale. Gently come up. Now the hips might feel a little intense. So let's just bring the hands behind us. Gently bend the knees. You can straighten them out. You can bounce the knees, lift the chest. Whatever you need to do. Maybe windshield wiper the knees once again. Bring a rotation to that opposite side of the hip. All right, we're gonna move into shoelace. So this one may or may not work for your body, and that's always okay. So if your hips are tight, then maybe what this looks like is the legs are folded. Let's bring the right leg on top. Maybe the feet and the heels are in line with each other. Or for a full shoelace, the goal is to get the knees stacked on top of each other. So if you're in this shoelace posture very deeply, you might be able to hold on to the feet, keeping the knees stacked. You can stay right here if this is perfect for you. This might be enough of a pull or stretch, or if you'd like, we can exhale and just fold forward, round the spine over the legs. Now again, if those hips are a little tight, or maybe this is a little much on the knees, you can keep the legs more in a stacked position. And the longer we're in this posture, maybe you can inch those knees closer together. There's no requirement for any of these postures. You're simply working with where your body is at and what feels good for you. I'm just gonna breathe a couple of deep breaths. If you would like to add arm movements, which will open up the heart and the front side of the shoulder, this can be a little intense, so always listen to your body. We're gonna move into cow face by bringing the right arm behind us. Drop the left arm up and over. Grab fingers if you can. Or if you'd like to work on this option but don't quite have that reach, use a strap or a cloth. Just like that. Now again, we can stay upright or we can fold forward. Whatever works for you. It's always perfect. And if holding this position with the arms gets to be a little bit intense, just let go. Gently unwind the arms and return back into a position that works for you. And breathe those deep breaths. Find that space to really just let go in these postures. It's not really any need to think about anything. We're just here, simply existing. Now, as you're ready, let's gently unwind the arms if you're in a bind. Let's inhale, bring the torso upright. We're gonna gently unwind the legs, bringing the legs out in front of us, windshield wiper the knees, whatever movement you need to bring blood flow back into the body. Okay, now we're gonna switch sides. So again, this time the left knee is on top. If your knees or hips are a little tight, this right here is perfect. You can always use blocks or bolsters as you need to support those bodies. This practice is not about pushing ourselves too hard or too far. Now, some yin postures will be just a tad intense, maybe a lot intense, and that's okay. Again, we never want pain. If you can, try to get the knees stacked. Try to keep both hips on the mat. If you like, you can grab your feet, or maybe place hands on the mat, whatever works for you. Let's take a deep breath. And if you'd like to fold forward, we're gonna fold forward on an exhale. Take a few deep breaths here, just allowing yourself to relax into this posture. And just notice whatever you feel here. Notice what's pulling. And with your breath, just breathe into that part of your body. Deep breaths. Again, give yourself grace with wherever the body is at. Sometimes this posture can be a little rough on the knees. Again, just allow your body to be where it's at. Work with your body where it's at. If you'd like to add that arm option, we're going to take the left arm back under and up, right arm up and over, dropping down to find the fingertips. Again, you can use a strap or a cloth if you need to. You can stay upright, that's perfect. Or we can exhale, fold forward. And our right side, left side of our bodies sometimes are completely different.
that's okay. So if you were able to accomplish a certain movement or look on one side that you're not quite getting on the other side, that's okay. A lot of times, not only does that reflect injuries, but also how we hold our body. It also reflects our mind, our brain even, where we hold on to things in our life, whether that's stress or tension or trauma, life pains. We all have it. We all are working through something. Take a few more deep breaths. Always feel free to back out of a posture a little bit at any point that you need to. You don't have to hold any posture as long as we're holding it in this video, especially if it's a little too much. And whenever you're ready, let's gently press the torso back upright. Take a deep breath, roll the shoulders back, and gently unwind the legs. Bring the legs out in front of us, knees bent. You can shake them, bounce them, windshield wiper the knees, whatever you need to. The goal in a rebound is to bring some blood flow back into the body. However that feels to you, it doesn't have to be anything that even I'm suggesting. If your body needs a different movement, then work on that. All right, so let's come over into a downward facing dog. So we're gonna start on our hands and our knees. We're gonna press up to that downward facing dog. So push the tailbone up towards the ceiling. Again, it doesn't have to look a certain way. We're just stretching out the legs, the hamstrings. This is also a really great counterbalance to that last posture, the shoelace pose that we just practiced, to get some blood flow back into the hamstrings. So let's just take a couple of deep breaths here. Now let's shift into a plank. We're gonna inhale. You can bring the knees down if you need to. Let's inhale, lower down, push through to an upward facing dog. So just open up the heart, also opening up that lower spine. Then we're gonna tuck the toes, push back to that downward facing dog. Now on your next inhale, we're gonna step the right foot all the way up to the top corner of the mat. Hands are on the inside. Bring that left knee down, okay? So this is our dragon pose. This is a great hip opener for that side edge of the hip. Now we can stay right here. It's very important that our right foot is directly below the knee, or at least out past the knee. You don't want the knee to be out beyond the toes. We always want to protect the knee, especially in this position. Now you can stay right here. We won't stay in this posture long. You can also come down onto the forearms. Breathing those deep breaths. If you have the ability, you can also bring the torso all the way down to the mat. Again, this is about listening to your body. If your hip is pretty tight, you can also push away from that foot with more of a straightened leg on that front leg, bringing the hips more back towards that left leg. So this is all up to you. Now a couple of options here. You can stay right here, or you can drop that right knee outwards. More like a dragon wing, an open wing. So that the coming onto that side edge of the foot just changes how it feels to that right hip. You can stay here, or you can move into a twisted dragon, which is a little bit more intense, by bending the left knee, reaching the right arm back behind us, grabbing the foot into a bind, looking back across the left toes if you can. If you need even more, you can come down onto the left forearm to practice this posture. This practice is not about pushing yourself into a posture that your body's not ready for. It's just always important that different variations are offered for different bodies. Now, if you're in that twist, let's go ahead and gently unwind. If your right knee is dropped open, let's go ahead and bring that knee up, placing the foot flat on the mat. Now we're gonna move into a modified heron. So we're gonna press away from that right foot, straightening that right leg out. You can sit all the way back onto that left heel if you like. We're just gonna fold forward across that right leg. Good hamstring stretch here. You can bring the forehead down, you can look out, whatever works for you. As you're ready, we're going to inhale back up onto the hands. We're going to step that right foot back, press back into a child's pose for just a second, just to reset that stretch. Deep breath, forehead to the mat, glutes to the heels. The knees can be together or apart. We're only going to be here for just a breath. All right, let's inhale up onto the hands and knees, downward facing dog. So let's push back to that downward facing dog, stretch the legs and the knees back out. All right, let's inhale, shift forward into a plank. You can bring the knees to the mat. Let's inhale, lower down, push up to an upward facing dog. Hands beneath the shoulders, lift through the spine, deep breath. And then exhale, tuck the toes, push back to a downward facing dog. Really press away from your mat. On your next inhale, let's step the left foot all the way to the front edge of the mat. Bring the hands to the inside of the foot in a like a push-up position. Right knee is on the mat behind us. Again, check that position of the left foot. Make sure it's out past the knee. If this is a little too much on the hip, you can press away from that left foot, bringing the hips more over that right leg. So you can stay here wherever it works for you. If you feel good here, you need a little bit more in that left hip, you can come down onto the forearms. You can bring the torso all the way down to the mat. Let's take a few deep breaths wherever you're at. Find stillness, not just in the body, but in the mind. Find stillness through the breath. Now you can stay right here for a couple of those options. If you'd like to move into an open wing, you can just drop that left knee outwards just a bit, coming onto the edge of the left foot. You can stay here for a few breaths, or to move into twisted dragon, we're going to bend that right foot, reach the left arm up and back, grabbing the left foot in the bind. Maybe you look back across the left foot, or if you'd like a little more here, you can come down onto that right forearm to move into that twisted dragon. Again, there are lots of options with every posture to meet your body where you're at. It's okay if the body's not very flexible. Every body is different. Every mind, every life is different. We're all just working with what tools we've been given. We all have different tools to work with. We all have different materials to work with. And that is okay. If you're in that twist, let's gently unwind. Come up onto the hands. If your left leg is open, let's bring the knee upright, back onto that foot. Pressing away from that left foot into that modified heron pose. So we're just gonna straighten the leg out. You can stay upright. You can sit on that right heel. We can fold forward. Maybe you create some movement here. Whatever it is that you need. Deep breaths wherever we're at. Just a little hamstring stretch, however it works for you. When you're ready, let's inhale back up onto the hands. Now we're going to step that left foot back. We're gonna press back into a child's pose for just a second. So from here, let's go ahead and extend those arms outwards. Try to get the glutes to the heels if you can. Extending the arms, come up onto the fingertips if you like, getting a little armpit stretch, maybe a little different sensation in the shoulder blades, just whatever feels good. Sometimes our bodies need like a little bit of weird movement. That's okay. We're moving into thread the needle. So we're gonna inhale up onto the hands and knees. Let's inhale the right arm up. Open up the heart. On your exhale, we're gonna bring that right arm underneath the left. So lay on the right shoulder if needed. So you can keep the glutes more towards the heels, or maybe the glutes are more upright. You can inhale if you like more. Bring that left arm up towards the sky. Or we can drop that left arm behind us. Maybe you even bind by grabbing that right thigh. Breathing into that twist. So as a basis, we should feel a stretch across the back side of that right shoulder blade. This also gives a good little twist through the spine. If you'd like more, you can also straighten that left leg. Twist open a little more. Deep breath. Just allowing ourselves to be here in this moment, in this breath. Allowing us to be right here in our bodies and in our life. Sometimes we're so desperate to have a different life, different situations. And sometimes we can make changes, but sometimes we have to keep pushing through exactly where we're at. Let's inhale, bring that left arm back in front of the face. So press away from the mat, inhale, the right arm up towards the ceiling, opening it back up. And bring that hand back to the mat. Now, other side. Let's inhale the left arm up towards the ceiling, open up the heart. As you exhale, send the arm through, coming down onto that left shoulder. Now you can stay right here. You can keep the glutes on the heels or hips up. Inhale the right arm up. You can also drop that right arm behind us, bind onto the left leg. Can also straighten that right leg. This opens up a little bit across the front side of the hip. Also allows for a little bit of a deeper stretch here. Deeper twist. Deep breaths wherever we're at. This posture can be as gentle as you need it to be. Whatever we're working through in this life, just take it day by day, moment by moment, breath by breath. Like I said, some things we can change, but some things are about changing ourselves, refining ourselves, finding a deeper love for ourselves and those around us. Limits and boundaries are always necessary. Let's inhale the right hand in front of the face. Let's press up away from the mat. Inhale that left arm up towards the ceiling, untwist. And exhale the left hand back down towards the mat. All right, so we're on our hands and our knees. We're moving into melting heart or puppy pose. So this is a heart opener and a little bit of a back bend. So we're just gonna walk the arms out in front of us. And as you inch the arms, the hands out, just drop the heart down to the mat. Try to keep the hips above the knees, but also work with your body, whatever your body allows. Try to bring the chest to the mat. You might bring the chin to the mat here. Now this also could be a little uncomfortable on the neck, especially if we have any neck issues. So you can also turn the head to the side. Just try to keep it balanced, turning the head periodically. We're going to stay here for just a couple moments. You can untuck the toes if you like. As you get comfortable, just try and drop the chest a little bit more. Deep breaths. You can also just keep the forehead on the mat. This is a deep heart opener. Especially as we struggle in our lives, we tend to close off our heart. This is a really great posture to physiologically open up the heart, not just through the front side of the body, but also through the back side of the body. This is good chakra work, energy work right here. We absolutely have to have boundaries in life, but always work to keep your heart wide open. Breathe. Just a few more seconds here. Micro adjust as you need to. Now, as you're ready, we're going to gently begin to push up and back. We're going to walk the knees up towards the hands. We're just going to move into a child's pose. So bring the knees together very intentionally. We're going to bring the forehead down to the mat. If you need to, you can use a cushion, a bolster, or a block. Whatever you need to. And then, in order to round the spine, to rebound that back bend, we're going to bring the arms beside the body, palms facing up. Just droop the elbows. Should feel a rounding of the spine across the upper back especially. And if you're not feeling that rounding, you can always adjust as needed. Deep breaths. I'm just going to stay here for a moment. This stillness in this practice is really wonderful for us, not just for the body, but also for the mind, for the soul, to just stop. Some of us lead slow lives, but some of us lead very busy, fast-paced lives. And whatever our life is like, it's a requirement for us to bring some stillness, some space into our life, to reconnect to who we are, to reconnect to our purpose, to reconnect to our ultimate being, to reconnect to why we're here in the first place. Let's inhale up onto the hands. We're going to come up onto our hands and our knees for pigeon pose or sleeping swan. So we're going to push up back to that downward facing dog. Let's inhale the right leg up for just a second if you can. Don't worry about it if you can't. On your exhale, we're going to bring the right leg under the body. Push the left leg back. Try to get the hips straight if you can. If the hip is a little tight or this doesn't quite work for the knee, you can always bring that foot closer to the groin so that we're not putting so much stretch on that right hip. Or if you feel pretty good here, try to keep the shin parallel to the front of your mat. So you can stay right here, or we can exhale, lower down onto the forearms. You can use a block to rest the head if needed. You can also use a block underneath that right hip to alleviate some of the extremeness of this posture. Now we can just stay right here. You can also bring the torso all the way down to the mat. Breathing a few breaths. This is a good intense stretch on that right hip. You might feel this pretty deeply. However, if you want a little bit more, there's always a little bit more. So if you would like, you can bring that left elbow across to that right knee. Bring the palms together in prayer hands. Now you can stay right here, or for that intense stretch, we're just going to roll onto that left shoulder. You can rest the head on the mat or a block. Breathe those breaths. Or you can bring that right hand behind you. Find the right foot. Maybe hold that bind. Wherever we're at, find that stillness. Find that place to just let go. Find that place to just be. A few deep breaths here. Now, the longer we hold a posture, you can always inch your way deeper. Got in about another 30 seconds in this posture. If you're in that bind or twist, let's release the bind. Inhale the right hand to the mat, untwisting the body. And now everybody, we're going to use both hands to push up. Tuck those left toes, gently inching your way up, bringing that right knee back. Child's pose for just a second. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to push back into a downward facing dog. We're going to inhale that left leg up. On your exhale, fold the left leg under the body, across the mat. Push that right leg back if you can. Bring that left leg, that left shin parallel to the front of the mat, or if the hip or the knee is a little tight, you can keep that right foot closer to the groin as we exhale, fold forward. If you're having trouble with the hips, you can always use a block to support that hip or the thigh so that the stretch is not as intense. What this does is lift up the hip from the ground a little bit where you need to place that block. So the higher that we have the hip up off of the ground, it's less pressure on the hip, and the less support we have there, the more gravity is pulling the hips towards the ground, therefore increasing the pressure or the stress that we're putting on those joints, muscles, or fascia of the body. And we can come down onto the forearms. We can rest the entire torso. And breathing those breaths. If you'd like a little more, we're going to work that right elbow over towards the left knee. Bring the hands into prayer. You can stay here, or we can roll onto the right shoulder. You can lay your head on the mat or a block. Or you can bring that left arm back behind us, find the left toes, and breathe. And just lay here, just be here. We hold so much of our life in our hips and every part of our body. But the hips are the big one for a lot of us. It's good for us to take the time to work through the body, to work through the mind. Even if it feels like we're not really doing much, we're doing a lot. Sometimes it feels like we're moving backwards. That's okay. Just like waves of the ocean, we move in, we move out. It's always making a difference. Everything's always unfolding exactly as it's supposed to. About 30 more seconds. You can move a little bit deeper if you like. If you're in that twist or that bind, let's go ahead and inhale, release the left arm. Pressing away from the mat, everybody pressing away from the mat. We're going to gently walk that right knee forward, bring the left knee back. Might be a little intense coming out of these postures sometimes. Move into a child's pose for just a moment. And then as you're ready, push up to a downward facing dog to bring some blood flow back into those legs. Walk it out, take a breath. And as you're ready, we're just gonna inhale, bend the knees, coming down into a kneeling position. And we're gonna lay down on our mats, on our back, with our head towards the back, feet towards the front. And we've got one more posture that we'll move into for just a moment before our final Savasana or rest pose. So let's just lay down, get comfortable. Knees can be bent if they need to. Or you can straighten out the legs, take a deep breath, stretch out if you like. We're going to move into a reclining spinal twist for just a moment. So let's inhale, bend the right knee. On your exhale, we're just going to fold that right knee across to the left side of the mat. We're going to try to keep both shoulders on the mat if we can. Reach the right hand back behind us. If you have the ability, look back across the right fingertips. If you can even take the left hand to grab the right knee to pull it. Take a few deep breaths and allow gravity to do its work on the spine here. And just find the space to let go, to breathe and to be in some stillness here. This is good, deep work on the spine and also on the hips. Again, if you have any kind of low back or hip issue, not only is this going to help relax the muscles, especially if we have spasms, but this is going to work on those deep fascia, the connective tissues. Fascia encases all of the muscles of the body. It runs through the muscles. A system of our body that runs from the top of our head to the bottoms of our feet. And it's all connected.
called tensegrity, as we pull on one area of our body. We're also releasing in other areas of our body. This works the same with our mind. You can stay here as long as you like, or we can inhale, come all the way back to center, switching sides. Straighten that right leg. Inhale, bend the left knee. We're going to exhale, fold the left knee over to the right. You can grab it with that right hand if you like. Try to keep the shoulders on the mat if you can. If not, it's okay. Extend the left arm behind us. Find your place here. There are plenty of options with any of these postures. But ultimately find a place to let go. Even if we're pulling that knee, even if we're a little bit uncomfortable, find the space to just allow yourself to be exactly here, exactly where you're at. Because where you're at is perfect. In this posture, in this body, in this moment, in this life. Sometimes the challenge we face in this life is the extra pressure we put on ourselves. Pushing ourselves constantly to be something different or to do something different. While we need that motivation, that push, that challenge sometimes, simultaneously we have to give ourselves the grace that while we're growing, while we're moving, we're always exactly where we're supposed to be. So where you're at is perfect. Can apply that to every situation in our life. Even the ugliness or the darkness of our life is perfect. Just keep breathing, keep moving forward, one step at a time, one day at a time, one breath at a time. We're going to inhale, gently unwind the body. And let's bring the knees into the chest. Wrap the arms around the legs. Pull those knees in, just rounding the spine. Chin to the chest if you can, really pulling in. Release when you're ready. We're going to extend the arms, the legs, really stretch the body out for just a minute. And then as we exhale, just relax the body. Relax the arms beside us, palms facing the ceiling. Roll the shoulders back so that the heart physiologically opens up. Now, if you can relax just like this, then do that. But if the hips or the low back don't like this so much, you can keep the knees bent, tuck that tailbone, or you can keep the legs relaxed, but place a bolster or a cushion underneath the knees. But I do want you to find a moment to just be right here, to completely let go of the body for just a moment, to completely let go of the mind. Take a deep breath and fill up the body. Maybe build a little tension with that breath as much as you can take in the body, and hold it for a second. Maybe clench the fists, flex the toes. And then as you exhale, completely let go. Let go of the body, let go of the breath. And leave the body, let go of. Let the eyes close. Mentally scan the body and look for anything that we're holding on to in this moment that we can let go of. go of any tension in the shoulders. Relax the spine. Relax the arms and the legs, the fingers and the toes. And just be here. The body is useful and has a purpose, but in this moment, we don't need it. So we're just letting go of the body for a moment. Just give a little scan one more time. Look for anything else that we're still holding on to. Relax any tension in the crown of the head. Relax the scalp. We hold a lot of tension there unintentionally. Relax the space between the eyebrows. Unfurrow the brows. Nothing to focus on. Let the eyelids gently close if they're not already. And then relax the eyeballs. Let them roll towards the back of the head. Unclench the jaw. Let the tongue come away from the top of the mouth. And give up everything. We're just here. Wherever here is. Let's just take a moment to be in this space. Knowing that for right now, absolutely everything is okay. Everything else in the world can wait 2 more minutes, 5 more minutes, an hour if that's what you need. Being here in this space, it allows us to take time to reconnect to ourselves, to our inner being, to our inner selves, to reconnect to our higher consciousness. To remind ourselves of our purpose in this life, not mentally, but allow our soul, our spirit, to reconnect, to remember. And often that does pass through so that we also know with our mind. But if we can practice reconnecting with our heart space, our soul, to the God space, higher consciousness, and we can always align ourselves with our true path, with our soul purpose. Or if you're ready, let's begin to deepen the breath, wiggling the fingers and the toes to bring energy back into the body, to wake the body up. As you're ready, let's inhale, bend the knees. Turn to the right side of the body in a fetal position for just a moment. And as you're ready, let's inhale all the way up into a seated position, however is comfortable to you. Thank you for joining me today for this Yin Yoga practice. And I hope to see you again soon. You can find more of these classes, videos, and courses at bearyogis.com or on our YouTube channel. Thank you. Namaste.